Well, hello. It's the Wednesday. It's the Wednesday drawing show. I was about to say it's the Wednesday afternoon tea club, which is probably what it was. This will all end up being. I have a cup of tea. It's 4 o'clock here in the United Kingdom, in England, in the United Kingdom, and it's tea time. And it's the Wednesday drawing show, and I'm not entirely set up for this. This is all still very, very new to me, so you're going to have to bear with me. Say something, it says. So I'm going to type in there, hi, how are you? Is anybody actually watching? Perhaps I need to go and actually have a look and see. So this is a bit, unprofessional, isn't it? So I'm going to have a look on my... Right, that's... I just want to make sure it's actually working on online. And then somewhere... there are so many windows going on here. So here are my comments and reactions. There we are. And there I can see probably if anybody's actually watching. Now, first thing I want to do is to check out. I went and put a little... Why is that on a different thing there? So I want to be on there. This is so unslick, isn't it? So has anybody made any comments there? No. So I was asking maybe if you had any drawing questions. But it seems there's nobody there. Is anybody out there who have got drawing questions that you want to ask? This is kind of weird, talking to people who might be there and people who might not be there, using software that you're not entirely sure is actually working. So the live streaming is working. Welcome to live chat. Remember to guard your privacy, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, so that's there. It seems to be working. I added another little window here somewhere. How about if I do that there? I don't know what that little... I've just discovered another little window on my screen. If I do that, it doesn't appear there. No. So, I'm going to have to assume that there is somebody out there. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch to my overhead camera. I'm going to talk about leaves. Maybe that's why nobody's watching, because it sounds really, really boring. Unable to connect to chat. Wonder why that is. I see. Okay. But this seems to be chatting. Let me just check this. Testing. Oh, it doesn't say testing at all. It says testing. So while I'm waiting for somebody maybe to watch, I'm going to switch to my overhead camera. Like that, and I'm going to talk about leaves. Look, I got lots of them. I got leaves. Oh, and I got a little drawing of the Ginger Ninja and an old piece of painting tissue. So what have I learned about leaves this week? I have drawn quite a few of them, and I've drawn some of them in my sketchbook here, and I'm trying to find... I'm so badly set up, so badly organised, but we will get better. We will get better. I know I've drawn a whole lot of others. Here we are. Here's some more. Sort of working out different things. So one thing I learned, I got a little box here. I went out into the forest collecting leaves, and I think they're starting to go off a bit now. That's an ivy leaf. I love this stuff here. This is a kind of lichen or a lichen that grows on the barks of trees. And, it's got this box has got a kind of a weird minty smell to it. And I love the oak leaves. And so these are oak leaves. And they are different, aren't they? So especially when you compare it to an oak leaf like that, which is really quite blobby. These are called lobes, I've discovered. See, when you start drawing, you have to think, what is that? Why? Who? What? And you start researching it. So I found out these are called lobes. And you have the veins going up from the midrib in the middle. And so these are lobes, but these are kind of tessellated, bifurcated, something or other lobes. But that's more intricate than this. And basically I found out that, as far as I can understand, this kind of a leaf here, which is much more cut and extra loby, these are white oaks, and these ones here, which are more sort of blobby and loby, these are English oaks. So I never knew that before. So you learn something new all the time. And then here we have, I don't know, no one's commenting, so I'm probably just talking to myself here. So here we have fern. And what I love about the fern is that it is, what's the word for it? I cannot think of the word. There's that scientific word for it, isn't it? Where the shape of the big fern is kind of replicated in that little fern there. So that looks like a fern like that. It's kind of a mini one, and probably if you go down and look at an individual kind of leaf section there, then that sort of has a similar kind of shape. And maybe if you get the microscope out and look around the edges, you might find a similar thing there again. Fractal, that is the word I am looking for. And then we have all sorts of different sort of colours in here. So I love these. So we've got the greens and the browns and stuff like that in there. So this is autumn, and you particularly got it kind of here, this fantastic camouflage kind of colour here. All these leaves are now drying out in my studio. And you got this beautiful kind of sort of yellow and ochre and this green, and it's a real camouflage kind of thing, and it's just that little bit of summer clinging on. And some of you may be watching from tropical areas where leaves don't fall, or if they do, they just fall whenever. But here in the UK and American places, then come autumn or fall, as it's called in America, the leaves fall, and it's kind of when it gets cold and the trees kind of hunker down for the winter, and so they get rid of all those leaves, and they just sort of shut down until next year. Not all trees, deciduous trees do that, so pine trees and things tend not to. Larch does, that's a kind of a pine tree. This is another fern here. It's a very different kind of leaf. And these are all things I picked up as I was just going out walking. And here, these are beech leaves, and these are all pretty much the same kind of colour. They've all gone equally at the same time. They've gone the same kind of colour. And there's a couple more. There's another oak there. Some little buds. Look, these little buds are going to be next year's leaves. They're already there, waiting to. But we've got to get through the winter first. And there's a bit of moss as well that I found. So I had a question last week. Let me have a look on here. How are we doing? I'm assuming that somebody's out. This is really weird because nobody seems to be watching. If I go and click onto that, I'm just having a look here. It's definitely live, but it doesn't seem to be that anybody is watching. One watching. So, there we go. So I could switch that off because I could hear myself talking, and it's very, very weird. So last week it had a question about symmetry, and that's kind of what really led me to think about all this. And I'm thinking, what is symmetrical? I thought, oh, leaves, and I go out walking in the forest because it's where I live, and I started thinking about symmetry. And let me get another piece of paper. Oh, all this rubbishy stuff. Look, nice little bit of ivy there as well. So I started to think about symmetry. I need my glasses on as well. I should be more prepared, shouldn't I? And so you kind of think of a leaf as, that midrib down the middle, and then, maybe something like that. and then you want to kind of do something like that, and you want to make these equal, don't you? And then we'll do something very, very simple like that. And if we make these all come out at the same point along the midrib as well, and then a little bit of a stalk or petiole, that's something else I've discovered. I think I knew that when I was about 16 doing biology at school, but I'd forgotten the words like petiole. So this would be, I need to just change that, just check that this is actually on the camera. So this is pretty symmetrical. So if you went and cut a line down there, you could fold it over or put a mirror there and it would reflect, and that would be fairly similar. But one thing that I discovered as I was going along, let me see, these have all dried up. Look, this is kind of, these are sweet chestnut leaves, and that's going that way, and that's pretty much in the middle. So that is kind of fairly symmetrical. And I was walking along, and then suddenly I saw this one here, which is leaning to the left in a banana-like fashion. I found another one too. I think, yeah, that one's leaning to the left as well. And then these are leaning to the right. So that spoils everything, doesn't it? It means that we're not. So if I was to draw a sweet chestnut, they're a bit longer, and I'm just going to do a rough kind of shape like that. And it wants to come a bit more round at the bottom and a bit more pointed at the top, in fact, doesn't it? And then these are coming out like that, and they want a really sort of quite sharp points like that. And they also have these little kind of curlicues on them, some of them. So I'm going to add those little points on there like that. And when we look at the veins coming out from the midrib, then they're not. Those are coming out at the same point, but those two aren't. These are kind of alternate. These are randomly alternating, in fact, so they're not even alternated, they're just coming out randomly. And let's look at the angle. So that's actually coming out at that angle, and you can see that the angle is getting steeper and steeper and steeper towards the top as well. So we've got our veins coming out like this, and in fact they're starting to kind of curve towards the top like that. And let me get that right. So they're then curving as you get to the top. These are all little details that, when you start drawing, you kind of... Drawing is all about looking. And so when you look, you see things and start asking questions and thinking why, and then you want to go and find out. So here we have, again, the petiole here, which is the bit that connects it to the branch. But what we now also know is that they can bend to the right and they can bend to the left. So this is sort of symmetrical. If you put a line down the middle, each side is sort of similar, but they aren't exactly similar. So they're kind of symmetrical. I can't even say it. So, and if you put a line down there, obviously this is curving over to that side rather than to that side as well. And here, you're going to want these curving out to the right, and here you're going to want these curving out to the left. And we'll bring that in there, and then we want little peach. Oh, we can make the petiole go onto this side if you wanted to, because that might have been the way it was growing. And here again, we're going to want these veins coming out, and then they're actually going to start sort of curving a bit towards the top and getting into a steeper angle. I'm sure a geometrician would have more accurate sort of words to describe the angles and things. So this is coming. fairly at a right angle there, and then the angles are getting sort of sharper. And in fact, I think when you look, they're they are curving. Yeah, so they start sort of curving towards the top, and they are not alternate, and they're not facing each other. They are just random, coming out at different random times. So, but now what you could have actually is symmetry down there, because this whole half could go over to that side. So as a drawing, this has a sort of symmetry to it. And so, you know, by laying it out into a design kind of thing, that's becoming much more symmetrical, which is what we were talking about, what we're trying to get at. So last week's question was about, you know, how do you draw things so that they are, symmetrical? So here we have, let's say, an oak leaf. So a symmetrical drawing will reflect identically around each drawing, and so we got this little kind of bump there, and so we'll put a bump on each side. In fact, it's immediately not symmetrical because that's just slightly wider and everything. And when you look here, this has got an extra little bump on that side, but we don't want that, so we're going to try and make this symmetrical by drawing equally on each side, which is not easy, which is probably what the question was all about. So I'm going to take that sort of out, and I think, and again here you can see that this lobe is higher than that lobe, but we don't want to do that. We want it to be symmetrical. So we're going to try and make these pretty identical, and they are sort of coming around like that, with a slight little curve, a little sort of S curve at the end, and then that's going to be coming there, right, that's sort of coming out, so it's almost a point but not quite, and that's coming out almost a point but not quite. Now if you want to draw an oak leaf as well, I've done that on Draw Stuff Real Easy today, my other channel. Go and check out Draw Stuff Real Easy, and there's a simple how to draw an oak leaf thing. So we've got a little kind of a little bite in there, a little curve, and then we want to come down. And this is actually, now see, I don't think that central line is quite straight. So and here again you can see this is higher than that one, but what we're going to do is to bring that in like that there, and then we're going to want to have the peole there, and then when we look at the veins here, we want one going off there, and we're going to have these symmetrical again, aren't we? So that's one there, and we have a little one going off there. We have one curving, slightly curving up to there, and then up at the top here, we want them kind of going in like that. And then I'm just going to go all around the outside, and we're trying to create a symmetrical drawing, and at the same time, by actually making it symmetrical, it's kind of turning it into, oh, you see, I've missed it there, I didn't go up too high, I went too high. By doing it like this, it isn't actually right, is it? It just doesn't quite look right. It's become more of a, oh, I've done that too more equally. See, it's very, very difficult. I think it takes a lot of time, thought, and concentration. to actually get it absolutely symmetrical. And when you're when you're worrying about, is anybody actually watching this program, and which camera should I be looking at, and which is it all working, it's quite hard to actually concentrate on what you're actually trying to do. So, and then I'm going to do something like that there. So it actually has a quite a graphic kind of look to that. It's private, that's why. Now, is anybody watching? I just discovered this has been on private all along, which is why nobody is commenting. So is anybody out there? Is anybody out there? If you are, make yourself known in the chat. This is kind of weird and embarrassing. So I've been talking to myself for quite a little while now. 22 minutes I've been talking to myself. Is anybody out there? And if you aren't, then I'm going to kind of pack this in quite soon. Aha, there we are. Live chat. The big chat. Oops. Absolutely. I don't know how that happened. So there is so much to think about. Hi Judy, how are you doing? Thanks for waiting. There we are. Shall I do the intro again? Would you? Yes, welcome to the kind of delayed Wednesday drawing show, which I still keep wanting to call the Wednesday afternoon tea show. It's sort of the Wednesday drawing show doesn't seem to come out. So I have my cup of tea. I hope you have too. And I don't know if anybody else is out there, but I know Judy is. And how are you? I've been refreshing every 30 seconds. I'm so sorry. I have been talking to myself for the last 22 minutes. Talking all about leaves and stuff like that. I know you'll, Judy. I know that you'll understand. This is kind of a bit of a weird time for me. Trying to work out quite what I'm doing. I think I'm almost there, but it's click to view 5 comments. It says, oh, there we are. Yes, I got that. So trying to get this Wednesday drawing show thing going is quite tricky. And I've been thinking, wait a minute, I'm sort of halfway through making a video for Friday, and I'm going to talk all about what I'm going to do, what I'm going to do on the video on Friday here anyway. So that's not quite the point, is it really? So yeah. Oh, thanks for posting that. Yeah, thank you. But we got 3 watching now, so somebody else is watching. So if you are watching, of course, that other person could be me, watching myself. So where are we? What do we want to know about today? Drink your tea and relax. I shall do that. Okay, what are we going to talk about today? So I have various little things popping up with comments and reactions. There's so many things, and I was kind of trying to get all sorts of all the little various things like the intro, things like that, which weren't quite right. I was just kind of trying to get them all right again today. And so they're much better, and I'm kind of tuned into kind of what's happening. I know that I can do a bit of drawing like that, and I can, be drawing it on that camera. And then if you want to still see what I've drawn, and I want to talk, I can go to split camera like that. This is good, isn't it? And I can go to Instagram like that and show you stuff like that. So it's kind of slick. But I need a lot of practice, I think. So what have we got? Jude says the weather. We're English. Leaves. Yes, I went out for a walk this afternoon. I think that's the other thing that's thrown me. Hola, Karina from Buenos Aires. How are you? Karina's asked me to draw a jacaranda tree, which is quite a tricky thing to do. And Karina should be in Scotland. Karina lives in Scotland and is out in Buenos Aires looking after people. And Karina does a lot of Shoo Rayner drawings and posts a lot of them on Instagram. In fact, we can then go and look at where are we now? So if I go back to there and we go, oh no, I had this all sorted out. History show. So if you go to there, so Karina has been showing us her leaves that she's done, and what else have we got? I know last week, which one is that Karina there? Yes, and last week Karina did one of the shiny dogs my Christmas bauble for this year. And where are we now? I'm looking for another one. I think that this was new this week as well. I think Solrakarabi. I think that was a new one this week, and we got one more new one this week as well, which is Chris Webb 356. So you can do this, if you're watching and you want to draw something from the Shoo Rayner drawing channel, or draw stuff real easy, you can do that and put it on Instagram with the hashtag ShooBeDoodle, and I will see it and maybe share it on here. So there we go. Was I sharing that? I wasn't sharing that with you, was I? No. Let me show you again. There we are. Oh dear. It's so there we are. That was a new one, and here we have Karina's leaf, and that's Karina's sausage dog, and we had another sausage dog, Chris Webb as well. There we are. So I only have 3 new ones this week. I need more. So there we go, and I'll go back to here. So Karina and Judy are introducing themselves. Yes, that's why I need your help. It's a tricky tree. It looks really tricky too. I think maybe what we need to do is kind of a wishy-washy watercolour thing, maybe. Sort of an impression of a jacaranda tree. Maybe I'll have a think about that. So there we are. Not seeing. Can you show on split screen? Can you see me? Oh, I think you should be seeing me now, I think. Judy says, I need to join Instagram. So, where are we going with this today? So, let me go over to... I don't want that. I want the drawing camera. There we are. So what I was doing was I was showing all these various leaves that I've been collecting all week. And there was a question last week about symmetry. And I wasn't quite sure what the question was about, but I think it was about trying to draw things symmetrically. So this is actually a bit more bulbous on that side than this side, and it is really quite difficult. I think if you want to draw something really symmetrical, I think you have to measure, and you have to be not talking and worrying about what camera you're using and if anybody's watching and if you're live. But I've been sort of out collecting leaves. This is a beech leaf, and you can see that the veins are coming out fairly symmetrically, but then on other leaves, and I've noticed that they just don't. So this is a chestnut, and you can see here that they're not coming out symmetrically at all. They're coming out quite randomly, the veins from the midrib. And then I discovered also that you can get a leaf that is very straight. I've got one here somewhere, so that one's fairly straight. And then you get ones which lean to the left and ones which lean to the right. But when you draw them, you get a kind of a design, and design then starts to become symmetrical. So to make this really symmetrical, then you've got to do some really serious kind of measuring to get it absolutely right. But there's this other thing about symmetry, is what the Japanese call wabi-sabi, and if it is symmetrical, it's just kind of gets a bit boring. So if you're going to draw something sort of symmetrical like that, the Japanese would want to kind of do something like, I don't know, something like that, and go, and then they'd take a little bite out of it. Have a little hungry caterpillar take a little bite out of it, just to make it a bit more interesting, or that you're going to have to kind of maybe curve it around at the top and have it a bit more bulbous that side and not quite so much on that side. Are you still seeing this? Yeah. And so it's some things you don't really want them to be symmetrical, particularly faces. And if you draw a really symmetrical face, it just doesn't look like it, look right. Or the character seems to sort of go out of it. So I can put that back to 2 cameras. So that's what... that's kind of everything I was going to talk about today. I was hoping there would be hundreds of people asking me hundreds of questions, but not at the moment. So that's that. There we go. That's the end of the show then, probably. Unless you have questions you want to ask, or something you want me to rabbit on about. It's very difficult seeing who's watching. So I think we got my stream says 6 people watching here now, and 5 watching. So somebody's left. So I think maybe the thing to do is to think about... let me think about jacaranda trees. Let me go and have a little look. I'm going to go and have a look at jacaranda. Jacaranda tree. And let's have a look at what we get. So I'm going to switch over to... that camera there, and we got, oh my goodness me, look, jacaranda, mimosifolia. Is that the one that you mean? Is that the one that you mean, Karina? Let's get all these. That is just so pink, isn't it? Yes, says Karina. So what can we do with that? Well, I'm going to get my sketchbook out here. And Judy says her leaves have shriveled since this morning, but we'll gather them all tomorrow. It stopped rain. I went out this afternoon, and it wasn't supposed to rain, and it did. So let me go to my overhead camera, drawing camera. There we go. So here I've been drawing various sorts of things, trying out ideas and stuff in my new C-Wide 140 by 140 sketchbook. And so I'm kind of thinking jacaranda. No, I'm in such a state I can't. I've just got a pile of leaves here. I cannot find anything. I'm sure I had this all organised. I'm sure I was organised at one point. I found my paints. That's something. And I know. Oh, there we are. I went to fill up my water brush. So I think we need to kind of choose a colour, because that is a pretty violent pinky kind of colour. And I'm going to clean my palette and I think we're going to let's try and mix up that colour. So this is a kind of a crimsony kind of. I'm not entirely sure which one it is. I'm going to put a tiny bit of. That looks about right, doesn't it? A bit of French ultramarine in there. So, and I'm going to actually get a bit more like that. I'm going to make it quite strong to get that kind of lavender colour. That's quite difficult. I'll just do a little experiment with a different blue over there. Well, let's see what happens. So I am going to clean my water brush, and we're just going to be a bit artistic here, and I'm going to just do a load of wet. So you're not really seeing anything at the moment. Just doing a load of wet, and then I'm going to get this pink, and I'm just going to kind of drop it in to where it's wet, like that, and just let it spread into the water where you've let it get wet. And then I'm just going to leave that to dry. That's quite wet on the edge there, so I'll help that along a bit, and I'll leave that to dry a moment, whereas I come back and have a look at your comments. What have we got? Green says yes. Purple, do you live in the UK, Judy? Yes, she does. Wow. Tom the jacaranda tree, how beautiful. Good choice, Green. I'm in the UK. Hampshire, yeah, the city of Buenos Aires is full of them. I think they're in Sydney too. It's spring here. Oh, that would be lovely. Must be cold. It's just wet. It's wet, Karina. It's been raining. It's been raining for what feels like weeks. Although I've been away in those weeks, but it started raining before we went, and it started carried on raining when we got back. So it's like the light purple colour. So I'm just kind of sticking a bit of purpliness in there. And I think we might need a little bit more kind of bluiness in there as well, which I'm just gonna do that. I'm still letting it dry. Oh, I'm not letting you see, am I? Drawing camera. So I'm still doing this little bit of stuff like that, adding a little bit more. Put on the 2 camera thing there. And I'm going to get my hairdryer, so you're going to get a noise now. And then, oh, something's falling apart. My studio is a bit of a mess at the moment. So now we're going to need the stems, and I'm going to do sort of burnt umber. Oh, that's burnt umber. The other one's neutral tint. Burnt umber for that. And they look a bit of a mess, don't they? So I'm going to have kind of a branch there, and then Let's think of a kind of a main branch coming up there, and another branch coming up there, another one coming up there. So we're kind of allowing some of these things to be in the foreground, and then we're going to do little branches coming off like that, and we're going to have little branches up in the gods up there, and these are just going to be, so you don't want to draw them all the way. You're going to kind of leave spaces for the flower bits that are in the front, if you follow what I mean. And then we also want this kind of falling kind of look as well. I think this is kind of my easiest, quickest way of drawing a jacaranda, I think. Without, I don't know, maybe I have seen one, I don't know. Never knowingly seen a jacaranda. Yeah, look at all those. So, I think we can have a few more kind of bits and pieces like that coming in like that. It's an impression of a jacaranda. What do you think, Karina? Would that kind of work, do you think? I think it's quite fun just playing with the pink. That's the kind of the main thing. Erin Kroback, hello. How are you? Have you got ideas for drawing? Erin, good. I'm glad you like that, Karina. There we go. Yeah, it's kind of simple, but it has a go. And I think the thing is with the brush also is to kind of hold it at the back, rather than, I think if you're holding it like a pen, I think it'll get a bit too tight. If you hold it more at the back, you're going to get more of a kind of a looser blobby style from it, like that. Hi Erin, I'm well, thank you. How are you? Thanks, Judy. Like, as pink as your boots are, in fact, almost. So I should put jacaranda on there, shouldn't I? Is it J-A-C? Jacaranda for Karina. There we go. What else have we got? So, what else can I talk to you about? Having, as I say, missed the first total disaster. My apologies. And in fact, I think the video actually went off yesterday as well because I hadn't timed it properly. And I thought I got it all set for today, and in fact it was all set for yesterday. In fact, that's it. So I got it all set perfectly yesterday, except for the day. Muchas gracias. And so I got it all perfectly set for yesterday, and then had to hurriedly get it all set up again today, and obviously forgot to turn it to public. Aaron, love from Turkey. I bet it's nice and warm there, is it? Or maybe it isn't. Sometimes you think places are going to be hot, and sometimes they're not, and you kind of making assumptions. You know what assuming does, as my Mrs. Rayner always says. Assuming makes an ass out of you and me. Assume, you see. There we are. So, yes, it's never good to assume. So, what are we going to do? I could just wrap it on for another 10 minutes or so. or I could kind of decide to try and sort of get it right next time. Judy says, how is the new sketchbook for pen? It is really, really nice. It is really... it's almost like it's kind of a waxy surface, but it's not. So the pen kind of really glides over it. It's really, really nice to draw on. And it's just really smooth the way the pen draws over it. So yes, I'm liking the sketchbook a lot. I'm kind of... I've got so many kind of ideas, but it's kind of whittling down to which ones are actually possible. So I'm thinking of going and asking my lady barber, hairdresser, if I can come and sit in there and sketch. for a couple of days, and sort of draw old guys having their hair shorn with a and young guys having something a bit more snazzy done. It dries very, very quickly. Yes, it does. Straight in there. And I'm waiting to try the. They sent me these Unipin fine line pigment pens as well, and I've only got this note. They sent me a 0.03, which is really, 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 really fine. I think this is what that one, and no, that's the brush pen. That one, which says waterproof and fade proof, but it isn't, which I'm slightly disappointed by. So can you see? Oh, where are we now? Cameras. Remember to change the cameras. So we want the single camera, don't we? Drawing camera. There we are. So yeah, so they sent me all sorts of things to try. So this is a Unipin fine line brush, which is water and fade proof pigment ink. Now, when it says that, it usually means that it's waterproof and fade proof, and you kind of feel, yeah, let's do something with this. So so now it's drawn. I could maybe kind of draw some extra little kind of things like that on the tree, but sadly I've discovered, I'll just clean this brush to make sure that it's not actually waterproof. It may be after, you know, an hour or something like that, but not straight away. So that's a little frustrating. And they also sent me these Mitsubishi water and fade proof pigment ink. This is a 0.3, which is really, really 0.03, which is really, really fine. So I've actually sent off for some others to try it out. But again, it's not like a rotring. You see, if I do a rotring like that, I can be pretty sure that I can come and... Oh no! So maybe, see, if this rotring here should have dried now, so I can go over that. So okay, let me do jacaranda, and then we'll do jacaranda, and I'll give those a minute to dry. How about that? Got some more questions. Haha. Does it dry quick? How can you do when the water wrinkles the page? Well, the thing about this is, in this sketchbook, it's watercolor. It's watercolor paper in this sketchbook, so it's kind of not wrinkling really. And once it's closed, it will kind of flatten out as well. So I think the better the watercolor paper you get, and the heavier the watercolor paper you get, the less it will wrinkle. Otherwise, you're going to have to, you're going to have to stretch it out. Then that's the secret. But in a sketchbook, if you want to do watercolor, you really need watercolor paper. So Aaron Coburn, please draw an angry rhino. Thanks. Judy says, I use the 0.5 for hatching. Yes, I kind of, I got a 0.5 as well, and I'm going to see what that's like. It's kind of, yeah. I tend to use just that 3 for everything, and I'm kind of thinking maybe I should try and do a bit more sort of different weights. The jacaranda tree looks like a cherry blossom. If I add more leaves, it ruins the paper. And Jude says those pens, use them lots and they are waterproof. Not tried the brush one day. Found the ticky took longer to dry. Isn't that interesting? I found that you need to let the uni pens dry for a while before using the water, especially the brush one. Aha. Artline 0.5 is very beautiful. Try it. Okay. Karina Suarez. Yes, good. So look, what we can do then, now this is dry. Whoops. I can now get a little bit, let's put a little bit more, then we can maybe, add some more kind of pink on the, because it does have that kind of falling kind of look to it as well, doesn't it? So you could maybe add some extra kind of dottiness to it to try and get away from that cherry blossom look. So I think it's kind of in the eye of the beholder, really, isn't it? I think if you say, this is a jacaranda, then that's what people see. If you tell them it's a jacaranda, then they will see a jacaranda. If you told them it was a cherry blossom, they would see a cherry blossom. And then you can maybe take a few of these little sort of dots outside as well. So this is just a very quick kind of first attempt, and I think it's, you know, like all of these things, you just have to kind of play with it, really, and do lots of different versions and see where you go. Right, that is very good. 0.05, not 0.5. The very thin is good for fine hatching. Yes, exactly. But they are really, really thin, aren't they? So Green says, yes, that's much better. Aaron Kovac looks amazing. Thank you. So, well, I hadn't quite expected to be doing jacarandas, but there you go. No, is there anything else? Angry rhinos. Oh my goodness me. I just have to kind of quickly have a look at a rhino. Eh? Hey, Spot Demon, how are you doing? Lynn says, have I tried the Winsor & Newton fine liners? They are really nice to hold down. No, I haven't at all. Just going to have a quick look at a rhino. Pictures. I think there's... let me get another piece of paper. If I'm going to draw an angry rhino, I will start with, I will start by getting the camera on like that. So, I always start with the angry eyes, I think. So that you're kind of... He looks mean already, doesn't he? So we're going to want a horn there and a horn there, and that's going to be sort of going up like... Have we got nostrils there? I have got a sort of a picture of one up on the screen, because it's very difficult just to draw something from memory. And then... and we're going to want to have... So we really want to... his shoulders. So we're going to want to have him... they are really weird looking things, aren't they? I'm going to do kind of like that and have him... underneath like that, and then we got this great big and have a little curly tail, which is going to be kind of wagging furiously in anger. We're going to have it's kind of like a rhino, isn't it? It's Rhino the wrestler, I think. So maybe if we have kind of a wrestling ring, so he's kind of, well, he's going to be doing judo or something like that. It certainly looks like he's coming in for the attack. And rhinos are just kind of grey, aren't they? We could have him pink, I suppose, because I got a lot of that. So I'll make him a pinky kind of grey. And I don't think there's anything yet. And I'm just going to kind of swish a bit of paint around on here and keep those eyes sort of unpainted. I'll have a little bit of light on that horn, leave a little bit there, and then I can probably... This is not the best paper, this, so I can sort of drop a bit of kind of grey in around the edges just to give that bit of kind of modelling like that, and then probably just a little bit of shadow on the ground there as well. There we go. Oh, and then angry. There we go. Angry rhino. Jack Young, hello. I came to your school. Fantastic. I hope you had a really good day. Eric Comet, thanks for drawing it. No problem. Karina, I like that you always make the voice of the characters you are drawing. Yeah, I'm. No, I'm not doing. No, I'm not doing. Hey, you look. Angry Rhino. Right, here we are. Look. Chasing somebody up a jacaranda tree. So we have to draw somebody now. So we go. And they're going to be going. So. So they'll be doing something like that. Look, this is animation as well. I have to be careful of the copper laws because I'm sort of making this kid friendly now with animation. Right, here we have an angry rhino chasing a person up a jacaranda tree. There you go. You don't get that on BBC Two, do you? There we go. Where are we now? Just watch your video on copper, etc. You're still going to write children's books. Do you know, I'm not sure if I am. I think I'm just feeling so de-inspired about doing children's books at the moment. It's a real shame. So I'm going to have a really good long think about that. Len says, this is why I love your channel. Nowhere else do you find awesome art and sound effects. Eric Kepler, thanks for drawing. Super fun. Oh no, I added to the stress. Sorry, this is like your draw life with Ed. So maybe that's what the drawing show should be. I should just have lots and lots of challenges and do silly voices and sound effects and things like that. So I think that is probably time to call it the end of the day. And I think maybe when this all gets sorted out, you can see all the stuff I did at the front where I was talking to myself for 22 minutes or so, which will be deeply embarrassing. So next time I must remember it, I must have a great checklist. Don't set it to private. So thank you for those who have come along. Thanks for watching. I'm going to go to outro music. There we go. So make sure you subscribe and ring the bell for notifications of the next Wednesday drawing show. And keep coming back for lots more drawing on the Shoo Rayner drawing channel. Click down here, one of the down there. There's a little subscribe button down there you can click, and keep coming back for lots more crazy stuff. And in the meantime, keep drawing. Practice. And I'll see you next time. You take care now. Oh, Angry Grin Star. Oh, missed it. You take care now. Bye-bye.